Hello everyone, we're back. The new project, Maelkor. Maelkor? I don't know how to say it, but Dark Elf Prince from Black Crow Miniatures. I think we're going to, he's given me some serious Drow vibes. So I don't think I've ever shown how I've done that. So we can talk about Drow skin tones in case anyone finds that interesting. So when you think of the Drow, in case anybody has played Baldur's Gate 3 or whatever, I don't like the super black onyx skin of Drow, and I tend to prefer the slightly more lilac-y purple kind of skin tone for Drow. So that's what we're gonna do. So I'm gonna need some colors, yeah. So generally they're gonna have this dark grayish tone. It is in the gray palette, right? Mostly grays with some subtle variations of color. And we're gonna do a dark kind of mood. So I need something just dark. I need some black to mix in. All right. Okay, I'm gonna need some lighter colors to increase the value. I think I'm actually gonna go with this warm gray. So as it's gonna start really cold, slightly purple, kind of move through these blue grays and then up to these slightly more skin tone pinkish colors in the lights, maybe even slightly yellowish. So we're gonna grab some of that guy, but you notice everything is super just desaturated. I'm gonna grab some violet. Where's my violet? Come on, paint. Where are you? Purple. Some purple. Purpua. I'm going to set that off to the side because that's going to be a mixing color. All right. So we need to establish a base skin tone for him. Okay. Let's get the camera position all happy. Yeah. All right. So we're going to grab a little bit of the purple, quite a bit of this blue. You can see I'm shifting this more purplish. Okay. I'm going to take another mixture here and add some black. So this is pretty dark. I want something in between these two. Okay. Something like that. Maybe with just a touch more purple at the beginning, because it's going to turn quite dark towards the end, or over black. So, all right. So anywhere, right? I've done a zenithal. Anywhere where it's currently black, that's shadow area. All right. So I just want to block in the shadows. And Right, so you can see this color is like not pure black. I don't particularly like the pure black skin tone for the Drow look. I tend to like just a bit of light to it so that it reads really dark, but it's not like, you know, onyx black. That just looks too unnatural. All right, so all that stuff is shadow, right? You can see anywhere where there's black primer, this is all shadow area. In his ears, we'll add more color interest to his ears later, but I just want to get something on them right now. Okay, get his cheekbone, because he's got very strong cheekbones. Morning Cragzog. Wake up. In the Oz have a Red Bull and enjoy some painting. What's up, Vagetto? How you doing? Ciao. Ciao, Vincenzo. Or should I say hola? ¿Cómo va tu español? All right. So I get these nice dark shadows. Like so. Okay, what's next? So now we have to think about like what, I'm gonna add just a, before I move on, get just a little bit more on his chin here. I want him to have a very strong chin. So I'm gonna have that shadow come over just a little bit. Duff, hey bud, thanks. Thanks for the prime, I appreciate it. How are you? Okay, so next deal. We're going to take this, okay, this purple, this gray blue. We're going to mix it with this like warm gray skin tone color. You're going to see it's going to gray out like pretty fast, but this warm gray is going to desaturate this a little bit. So we still have this like purple under, this like lilac-y purple undertone to it. Good, man. Just getting back to doing the streaming and stuff. All right, so this is going to be all the areas of light, right? So this is my light value for his skin, okay? This doesn't mean that these are the highlights, because the highlights are going to get like more warm and bright. But this is like the general lights of his skin tone. And I'm covering everywhere else, right? So you can see all these places that maybe you might think would be shadow, but it's a really good figure. The Rollatore, I think, but this is my favorite of the three, but this whole set was really cool. I mean, just based off of how many people have painted it already, like, you know, it's a pretty good figure. So I wanted to do something a little different for him. Figured the Drow kind of color scheme would be cool. Most of the ones I've seen done of him so far are just like, you know, standard kind of Caucasian elf look. All right, so this is kind of like I said, this is sort of the base sort of color. Ginger beef, hello. And then we're gonna get his ear. I don't need to do too much with the ears right now because, like I said, I want to add some more coloration into them. But just getting a quick little light and shadow values on there is good. Roll with the punches, TV. Hello, welcome. Thanks for following. All right, so now we're going to come back to this intermediate value. All right, so this is now something in between this and this. This is my shadows, this is my lights. I'm going to come back, mix a intermediate bridge tone. This is the transitional halftone. So over here on, like, I need to go a little darker. On like the sides of his face and stuff where the light is not directly hitting, but it's also not completely in shadow. Okay, this is where I'm going to start to blend some of these together. Kaboom, thanks for following. And Roll with the punches, thanks for the prime. I appreciate it. Got a quick question. Aren't you worried about the shadows being more saturated than the mid-tone? We're going to play around with some of the... And you can have, if you have really dark shadows, you can have like ultra saturated shadows. The midtones might appear more saturated just because they have more value to them. But if you have like near black shadows, you can actually play with like really high saturation in the shadows. But also, I'm just getting the value sketch in right now. The value sketch with some color in it, right? So it's like a grisaille in color. Then, as I introduce more tonal variation later, I will begin to like glaze in additional tonalities and things into his skin, which will play around with some of the saturation in those areas. Yeah, it's purple scale. Or Oreoclast? Oreoclast, hello. And Ginger Beefette, hi. You bought a filbert? Have you tried it? I like them. Okay, so we want to make sure we get some of his like facial details. Ginger Beef, thanks for the tier 1. I appreciate it. So like here, right, we want to get some of the nasal labial fold. Okay, just get that triangle in. He's going to have a pretty dark, menacing scowl. Okay, get his mouth. Maybe a little shadow under the the lower lip. We can also play around. Even though like maybe the light would hit there, I can push the shadows under his eyes some, like his lower eyelids. It'll give him a bit more of a sunken look to his facial features. If I want to make him look extra angry. How are you liking the Onyx? I like the Ionics, they're good. Are they Ionics or Atoms? Yeah, I've used both, but they're Ionics now. Okay. All right, so now I can take and I can thin this out a little bit. We can start to push these shadows, start to transition these shadows a little bit more. Like I said, I want these quite dark. But I want to keep them to where they are, you know, like. Okay, they're not like huge, and I don't want to blend too much across the surface. I want to keep the shadow areas separated. All right. So let's come back to this guy. Make sure we get everywhere we might have accidentally missed. I'm going to lighten his temples here just a little bit. I feel like that color might be just subtly too dark. See you, Vincenzo. Have a good night. Thanks for stopping by. Okay, something like that. All right, now let's push this center light a little more. Yeah, he's got real strong cheekbones. He's got some serious kind of gaunt look to him. Okay, so we're going to keep mixing this kind of warm gray tone in here, and it's going to start to turn more like neutral gray, but you can see it still has a bit of that pastel-y kind of tone to it, you know? Now, I'm not too worried about the these like small wrinkles on his forehead at the moment. I can further enhance these, but for right now, I'm just trying to like think of his forehead as like one kind of simple shape, right? Then I can always enhance that later. I can push those volumes more if I need. But at the moment, I'm just kind of focused on like getting the general shapes in. Okay. So we're establishing light and shadow at the moment, not so much color tone and everything else, you know? Because even though he's got this darker skin, we're going to play with like the color variation and stuff, just like we would with any other skin tone. Okay, get his upper lips. and then his chin. All right, so you can see now we have this kind of central light, right? But you can see from the side he has a much more overall darker skin tone. Okay, so what I want to do now, zoom in just a little bit more. I'm going to bridge some of these together. I'm also going to add one more color to my palette. I'll probably add a couple more colors, but I want to add a little like ice blue so I can do some cooler lights in certain areas and I can create some color variation. I also want to add a little bit of yellow. So we're going to have like a warm light and a cold light. And why do I feel like this is too zoomed in? Yeah, it was slightly. There we go. So now we have this light blue and this light yellow. So we have kind of two different colors we can use. So on his lower jaw, all right, I'm going to mix a little more. I'm going to make these slightly more bluish. So his chin will be a little colder. And then his forehead will be like a little more yellow. You can think about this as like sort of the color zones of the face. I mean, typically you would do this on like, what's it called, figures, right? Like normal skin tones. Well, you can do the same thing on these sorts of dark skin tones, these unusual skin tones also. Because even though he's a dark elf, he still has blood. Okay, and over here. Right, over on his cheeks, I'm going to shift this slightly more gray, like blue-gray. I actually don't know. I don't know what color blood Drow have. I assume it's red. I'm going to go with it's red. They're still elves. All right, we're going to take a little bit of one of my favorite things, the alizarin crimson ink. Okay, we can mix this with our sort of intermediate tone here, and you can see it quickly kind of starts to shift that color, and it looks really like, all right, I'm going to mix this up, right? And it's going to look very like pinkish, right? Over here. Let's see just how pinkish red this looks. But look what happens when I put it next to on my thumb, right? It's almost like my skin tone. Do you find that the zenithal helps a lot with painting these kind of skin tones? Yeah, I mean, I would almost paint like typically I paint most things with a zenithal. The only thing I don't really paint with the Zenithal is like non-metallics, I tend to start with black because non-metallics don't use like regular lighting. Okay, so here, like around his nose and cheeks, I'm going to add a little bit more of this like reddish skin tone. This will all get blended together, but I'm just trying to introduce a little color variation right now. Because this underlying color will then show up as I begin to layer on top of it, you know? Where else would we have quite a bit of red? Anyone think where you'd have higher blood flow? Typically, no. Your eyes sockets don't tend to be like super reddish. So you tend to have anywhere where you have like thin skin. So like lips and ears, you tend to have more reddish tones. Okay. Now what do we do with his forehead? We're going to take this. We don't want it to get too pink, so I don't want to use too much warm gray. So I'm going to start to take some of this lilac color I have, mix a little of the blue, a little of the yellow, which is going to turn it much more of a neutral gray. But you can see again, like, see how neutral gray that looks. We're going to push the lights on his forehead a bit more. All right. So you can see now, right? So we're now pushing the light here. Where else? We got to push it on the bridge of his nose. Okay. Push some light here on his cheek a little bit. And so we want to follow this like line of his face. So you have you tend to have like, let me, like this sort of line of the cheekbone, right? There's a light that sort of comes this way. So the light, yeah, his chin will catch some light, not as much as the forehead. You have less oil on your chin than you do on your forehead, typically. So the light is not going to be as strong, the highlight anyways. And also we want to make it slightly more bluish. So I don't want to use this exact color tone. I'm going to shift the color a little bit as I do the kind of highlight on his chin. Right, so we're just yeah, it's not perfectly smooth at the moment. I'm just trying to get in like the positioning of it right. All right, so as we go down, we're going to switch back to this kind of color we had down here, this more blue tone, and we're going to just add some of the blue gray to it. And so you should be able to see like the color shift here. As this gets blended, it'll become even more subtle, but you get the idea of these like different reference zones of the face. "30 minutes into the sketch, man, you should be done with the sketch in 30 minutes. Okay, I'm going to push the yellow a little bit more on his forehead. Did I paint before I got into miniatures? I have some classical training in painting, yes. Painting and drawing. AC Miniatures with a raid. Hello, welcome in. How are you? How's everyone doing? What were you guys up to? What were you working on? All right, so we're pushing that little bit of yellow in the skin now. Right, it's not a lot, but it you can see like the color variation. That's what's important. All right, and then on his nose, I make this slightly warmer. Still want a little blue. I don't want it to get like too warm. Doesn't make sense for the character and the environment. Sin 13 and Harumpfenstein. Hi, welcome. Thanks for following. Okay. Define the nose and nostrils a little bit here. Again, we'll make it more subtle as we blend it, but I just want to get the positioning right on everything first. And so we can exaggerate a little bit, and then as we blend it together, we'll soften these things out. So you can see that I started with these wrinkles on the forehead in a light value, right? But now they're quite decently defined, even with that light value of his skin. Okay, So you don't have to use like the dark purple to do these wrinkles and stuff. Kamskin, hello. And Grantholomew, hi. All right, so I'm going to start to work a little thinner and begin to soften some of these transitions. I'm also going to, this is probably going to tone down some of the lights, but that's okay. We can always restore them. As we push the values back and forth. Frendigo and Kevthulu and Small Parts Sharp Points. Hi, welcome everyone. Thanks for all the new followers. Hello, hello. Okay, so just continue to work through some of these intermediate tones. You also see like now the because we have lights and things on the bridge of the nose, that like the side of the nose looks shadowed, right? But it's not really like that dark shadow color. We only left that in these like extreme recesses, right? And he should be starting to look kind of drow like at this point, you know, he's got that dark kind of purplish skin tone that is, it's either purple or blue, kind of depending. Sometimes they even do like a warm skin tone depending on the lighting situation. But you know, if you think of, if you've played Baldur's Gate 3 and you've seen like Minthara, you know how that's sort of the color tone that we're going for here. I tend to like this as a drow skin tone much more than like the just like charcoal gray. Feels a little more alive. Am I the only one who played Baldur's Gate 3? I can't be. That's impossible. Not right, Dave. I thought you played the enhanced edition on your iPad or something. I thought you at least installed it. Hey, Baldur's Gate 1 is my favorite game ever made. And in my opinion, better than Baldur's Gate 2. Because John Irenicus sucks. And Servok is way cooler. Yeah, this guy's got a little bit of Nier vibes, you know? Nah, I don't like John Irenicus. Nothing cool about him. And Bodhi. Their whole family sucks. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, so just continue to use little patch bridge tones to start to tie some of these areas together. Right? We can push the light maybe over here on the side of his face just a little bit more. This is slightly exaggerated by now, but it's going to make his facial features look, it's good. One, it's going to fill out his face a little bit, make him not quite so, and it's going to like help define his cheekbones a little further. Right, really make him have that sort of, I don't know, Willem Dafoe-esque qualities, right? Willem de Drow. I see what you did there. All right. Yeah, that one's pretty good. And Willem Elfro is also, but they don't like calling themselves elves. They're Drow. They hate elves. Better pun. This a box art or for fun piece. This is for fun. The box art for this guy was done by Michał Pisarski. And I think he did a very interesting. I'll say he did a very safe box art, but I think it's really good. Like, it's a very representative box art of the figure. Mike Ellis Design, hello, thanks for the Prime. But sometimes that's what you want with a box art, you know? I like both. Alex asked, do you tend to prefer fantasy skin tones like orcs and such, or versus natural skin tones? I enjoy both. I think one, you get to really just like play around, you know, the fantasy skin tones, you get to just like mess around and do what you want, versus the human skin tones gives you more chance to like, I think, study and be more nuanced in things, like really try and learn, which are those then concepts that you can apply to your fantasy skin tones. I'm going to assume that's I can't read that, so I don't know what that is. Ex popula. Is that Polish or something? Which is the best race for orange skin tones? I don't know. Orcs? I tend to like orange orcs. I think orange orcs are cool. It was Polish. Cooler, yes and no. Like maybe not this exaggerated because it tends to be more so for guys because you have more like hair follicles and things on your chin, which exaggerates it a little bit more than on women. What purple is that? What purple is what? The one on the palette or the one on that I've mixed? Are you talking about this purple right here? This is that's ionic purple. Canon D&D goblins are ochre-ish. Aren't hobgoblins orange? Or are they like red? Modesty 541. Hello. Thanks for following. I just mixed it with grays and this like warm, this is called warm gray. There's just different color grays and things. Somber gray, I think is what that is. We're just building up some variation. Okay. I got my crimson down here to mix more warm reddish skin tones for like the nose and mouth. I want to create different nuances and subtleties. Okay, so you can see there I mixed, like, start to add a little red. Hi, Roxana. What's that? Oh, Xpala, thanks for following. Appreciate it. Okay, let's push the light just a little more. So even though he has very dark skin, well, darker skin, you'll still get quite intense highlights depending on the lighting. So I'm going to give him some pretty strong highlights here. Though they're going to be quite small and concentrated. All right. I also like he has a very upright posture, almost like he's like looking down on you. I think he's very interesting like this. So I want to move some of the highlighting slightly forward. Maybe a little lower than what you think it should be. Just to give him that like look of like, he's like looking down on you, you know? So instead of at the the more top of the volume on some of these, I'm gonna move it like slightly downward so that he has that like you know. Yeah, exactly. The pathetic. Which is ironic because even as a prince, Drow males have like no power whatsoever. They live in a matriarchy. Down with the matriarchy. Well, he may not be the highest in Drow society, but they look down on every other race more than themselves. So even as a male prince, he would be like higher. What's it called? Social class or whatever. What's with all the show with the like calling out other countries' painters, you know? Guys calling out UK and Spanish painters. That's literally the second and third demographic that watches my content. All right. Number one being US, then second is UK, and third is Spain. We get a lot of Spanish viewers, all right? Live, I get a lot of Aussies, but on YouTube, it's US, UK, and Spain are the three highest. Hi, what? Well, Amy? All right, so one little fun thing we can do is we can define this like line here. Okay, like to push a little highlight into this corner. I think it tends to look pretty nice. Helps define that shape a little bit more. A little bit more red around the corner of the mouth. One thing you can do is there's this muscle here. So this, like, you can see this highlight right here is quite strong, especially when I lean back like this, right? This kind of wraps up over the nose a little there. Give him even more of a, like, you know, he's got this face like disgusted. He's looking at some Drogar or something, you know. It's all about intention. Richard, you got to be intentional with your brush strokes. Even right at the very beginning at the sketch, I'm very intentional. He's got some serious eyebrows too. He's gonna have some wicked white eyebrows. All right, so we're making these kind of small little details here. These little touches, you know. All right. I might need my glasses here in a sec, but maybe we should just like put some color on the hair. It's already kind of white, but we want some of this, like, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use like a little more bluish in the hair. And we're going to go up like through blue into these yellow whites and stuff. You'll see. All right, so I'm still going to have like a touch of purple in it, but I need to start with a lighter value. So I'm going to mix my shadow color here. Okay. So this is the kind of color I like. This, like, it's like slightly purplish blue. Okay. Then I'm going to take some black, and you can see just how much the black desaturates it, turns it gray. Right. So I need to come up just a bit more. A little more purple. It's going to look quite similar to the skin tone, you know, it's somewhere over here. Now I need something to add value, so these more white tones. Okay, because white picks up a lot of color of the environment, and we're going with this like cool environment. All right, so something like this, right? This was like nearly our sort of light color for the skin, right? Ever painted unintentional just with the flow? I mean, I go into like flow state a lot, but even my flow state, like I do things subconsciously, but they still have intention to them. I'm not just like rubbing at the, what I'm getting at is I'm not just like rubbing at the surface or anything, or like I tend to not like have to search a lot is what I'm getting at, right? So it's like I have a plan in mind. I don't know if I'd say snowy, maybe more like cave. You know, the Underdark. So you can see this is like my shadow color for the hair. Yeah, don't scrub, don't like just scratch at the surface of the model with your brush. Like, be cautious of like the direction, the pressure, all of those things like contribute to the brushwork, right? All right, so this lilac color, you can see how kind of light this feels, right? This is the shadow color, okay? This is important to realize. It's like this light purple, I don't want to go super dark because I'm going for like white hair, not like gray or blonde, like pure white, okay? And pure white is going to have lighter shadows than, you know, these other tones. For me, my issue is color mixing and confidence with my paint colors, which causes me to repaint so much. I've gotten better. So if you've noticed, what I've been talking on a lot is less the exact color of what I'm searching for, because it's easy to filter color on top and change. What I'm more worried about is value, okay? The values are the things I'm really searching for. The exact tonality, like, that's easy to change, okay? I can get close and then I can make little shifts in tonality, but the value is what's important. So I'm just trying to get this back roughly covered. I'll be slightly more careful, but See, so I'm just like certain. I grab this mix. Is this the exact same color I just used? No, but as long as I get the value close, right? It's fine. No, I wouldn't say at the end in like the after the initial like sketch. See, like that color is slightly different. Okay, and I can add a little more blue if I want, but it's not a huge deal because I still have to like paint a lot more on top, right? It's like, so as I progress and like begin to like blend and bridge, I can make, it's easy to make adjustments in the color. It's hard at the sketch, after the sketch stage, to make big differences in value, you know? I'm not a dark elf. All right, so I'm going to add more of this white, right? So we're going to go, well, white. It's this ice blue, right? And I'll start to add just a touch of the yellow too, and you can see it's starting to shift like slightly greenish. I don't want it too greenish yet. I'm okay with like a little bit of that yellow at like the last, right before the last step, right? But this is kind of the color I'm looking for. This like middle gray blue sort of tone. You can see it still has that slightly purplish undertone to it. All right. Yes, you should wait until after GD to start playing. But my playthrough was as a half-orc fighter. Big strength, big two-handed weapons, orc smash. Dude, do you know how strong a half-orc fighter is? Oh, man. I was drinking those blood rage potions and just, like, killing entire maps of guys before my other party members got to do anything. Just get, like, 8 actions around. Guaranteed crits, critting people for like, I don't know, big damages. I forget how much I was rolling towards the end, but it was, you know, in the upwards of like 100 damage crits. Don't need to jump if you can fly. I put all the worms in my brain. My orc had more worms in his head than Robert F. Kennedy Jr. How's that one? Eh? I'm curious who I romanced. Shadowheart. I also respect Shadowheart immediately because which one is she? Like, she's like the weird stealthy cleric. Nah, we weren't doing that. She went and talked to Withers right away. I also played with Gale and who was the other? Oh, Asterion. Yeah, just to have somebody to pick locks and everything. Trickery domain, yeah. Yeah, it's awful. That went away very fast. I think I ended up going, I don't know. She just ran around with a bunch of like spinning things around her that just killed everything if they got close to her. I forget the name of the spell. She had whirly death. Spirit Guardians, yeah, that's it. That was her spec, was Spirit Guardians. Yes, I respect everything about her. All right, I need more of the ice blue. Yeah, and then she had something, I don't know, I gave her something that's like when she healed, she gave it like, she had some ring, I think you can get it from Volo. It's like, she had one thing that's like whenever she does radiant damage, it like splashes onto everyone else. Or it would like apply some debuff to everyone who got hit with radiant damage, and then it would like spread. And then she also had the thing where it's like if she healed, it would like bless everyone, and she had something that like healed the whole party whenever she did radiant damage or something. So it would just like spread buffs and debuffs everywhere, and then my orc would just go smash things with a sword. And Gale was just a haste bot, and he was there to haste and occasionally shoot things that were too far away with fireballs and just clear annoying trash. Low HP trash. And Asterion did nothing in combat and just picked locks. He was like the robot in that Rick and Morty meme where he's like, what is my purpose? Your purpose is opening locks. All right, so you can see as we shift more towards the light now, we're slowly adding more blue. All right, so it's starting to feel more white. I hear Asterion can be pretty funny if you do the ascended vampire thing and then make him a monk. Yeah, but for every knock you take, that's one less fireball you can shoot, you know? Anyone know painting brushes in human skin just a matter of adding purplish tones with glazes of skin color over the top? Oh, bruises. Sorry, I don't know why I read brushes there. Bruises. You know, there's a video where I paint a bruise on a guy. Go watch the MMA fighter video. I can probably give you, it would probably be a much more in-depth answer than me just saying it right now. As I paint the bruising on his face. No, he never answered me. He was too busy getting knocked out by Max Holloway in one of the worst knockouts I've ever seen. All right, so we're going to take some of these two, right? So mixing a little yellow in there. You can see it starts to turn. It looks slightly greenish on the palette. Well, you can't really see that because it's like the same color as the palette paper. But it starts to turn slightly greenish. It's very subtle. Jumping behind an Arby's. Dude, I wouldn't fight an MMA fighter, a professional fighter, no matter how low they are in, low ranked they are in UFC. They can kick the crap out of 99.999% of the population. I'm not. There you go, Chrysler. Good quote. You guys are closer to me in miniature painting than your average person off the street. Think about that. So see how that reads white now, even though it's not actually white? All right. So that gives you kind of the idea with the hair. I think I'm going to take a quick little break, use the restroom, go smoke, and then when I get back, we will continue on detailing the face and stuff a little more. All right, so I'll be back in 5-ish. We are currently, you have over a meter. It's snowing here right now, and we have about 5 inches of snow on the ground, which is pretty unusual for us. Not a typical thing to see. So I'm going to just do this real quick. The white of the crown is kind of bothering me. It's affecting my perception of the hair. So in order to kind of remove that and reset, I'm just gonna black it out real fast. Doesn't need to be perfect, but just something to kind of change my perception, you know? All right, even if it's just that, right? It like helps to see the white hair a little better. All right, so what do we want to do next? Obviously, there's still a lot more work to do. Well, not a lot, but there's still more work to do in this face. So I think we're gonna grab these bad boys. We're gonna switch to a little bit smaller brush here. No, I think I'm gonna do NMM, like adamantine. Is the selection of paints was the same? Would you use ionic paints for everything, or do you feel like some colors are good, other colors? No. This is what I say about any paints. Use the ones you like, okay? Right? Some people make good certain colors, some others, right? Certain things I really like Chimera for because they have pure pigments, okay? So it's really dependent on like what the tone I'm looking for or whatever. It has nothing to do with like the brand or anything else. I think that's important to remember. Use what works best for you, okay? What works best for me might not even work best for you. I can only make recommendations. But the thing to understand is that even the ionics, like ionics and Vallejo and stuff like that, which they're quite similar, honestly. The ionic and Vallejo game color, anyways. It's important to understand that they all have white mixed in, so you're going to the result is going to be a little different. How far into painting a face like this would you till you break to do the eyes? We'll probably do the eyes not too far from now, honestly. But I want to try and get some of this stuff blended together. When should I paint the black? At the end? Before you glue it to the plinth? There's my answer for that. So as I work, as always, I work in thinner layers as I begin to make smaller adjustments, okay? So as I want to make smaller adjustments and thinner, I use thinner layers to create finer changes in the paint, right? This is when you can start to really like introduce some of the like interesting micro volumes and stuff to the face. We can give him a little bit of cast shadow from the nose. Not too crazy, but just a little something, you know? Use the shadow tone to define around the nostril, right? I give the people what they want, Sebastian. Hey, Pixie thanks for follow. Welcome. Okay, soften some of this transition here. All right, some of these transitions, like here on the nose, are very tiny. Define these lower eyelids a little bit. All right, let's take a little of this guy. You see how thin this is, right? It's like really fine adjustment stuff. Can make small changes. This is what I mean by like you can play with the color as you begin to refine, right? As I make little changes to, or as I blend here and there, I can make small adjustments as needed. Need to up your skin game? Don't we all? Okay. So like little things like that, like the dimples in the side of the mouth, we can kind of define those. Right? We can make, we have these are what I refer to as little like micro volumes, right? Okay, define the mouth a little more. I'll make a set of luggage from your skin and add them to my collection. You have a collection of skin luggage? No, of course not. You didn't think of the smell. That little bit of red around the fold right there. So little things like that, you know, can go a long way to adding just like this color nuance that I'm talking about, right? Did you base the dark blue and glaze up for highlights? No. Or we start thick paint at the beginning. Then we layer and we just blend in between as we refine. Okay. Glazing is for little touches. Not big adjustments. I'm using a top. No, this is a red grass wet palette. Anyone else buy the miniature mentor videos back in the day before you miniature mentor? I don't know what that is. So like the painting Buddha videos, I remember those. I don't know what miniature mentor is. Well, guess what, Pixel? You can watch the beginning of the video on YouTube tomorrow. And see the whole process from start to finish. All right, so now I'm really like pushing these small highlights back into the skin. Okay. Well, I'm totally off camera. You guys got to say something, you know? Hey, streamer. You're off camera. You stupid? Yes. Thanks, Richard. So my worldview is too narrowed while I'm wearing these. It's easy to lose track of my position. So trying to define these wrinkles a little more. Gotta give him that serious scowl, you know. Thanks, Short Vest. And Pixie. Glad to hear it. I hope you enjoy the content. There is many, many hours of painting available. How many times would you break a mini bust before you gave up on it? Look, I've literally shattered a figure and just glued it back together and painted it. Okay, so like all the fingers on the hand just completely broken off. Had to like dig through the carpet to find them. It's just plastic. You can always fix it. Yeah, Steve Garcia's Thor that his dog literally chewed up. Yep. I think it was Thor. I think it's King Thor, if I remember correctly. Hey Eric, I'm going to be starting work on Zaba's Tory bust soon and wanted to see what your process was for painting fur texture on Bane. At what point did you start introducing the texture to the model, during or after the sketch? So I sketched the volumes first, and then instead of blending by traditional means, I blend with texture. I've also done quite a lot of painting of fur on things. So if you want to see that, I'm sure there's a video of me doing like freehand fur somewhere. I've up to 11 different times breaking my current mini. Haven't found a little finger. Stop dropping it. Lion Unit and Zuplapinzels. Thanks for following. Appreciate it. Yeah, there's a lot. I've done quite a bit of fur. Well, basically, yeah, I block it in and then just figure it out from there, you know, just instead of blending through traditional means, you just blend with texture. So one little one here, you can often get, let me grab this blue-ish. You can often get this sort of line like this. So you kind of connect these little parts here. Right, so the lower lip like wraps around. It's like a little highlight in here. Don't want to lose the shadow of the lower lip though. Idea is just sort of connect the volume. And then we can sort of blend and soften that transition. Okay, what else? What else? So there's still plenty of more blending and such to do on the forehead. I've also said this before, but this is one of those things where it's like kind of up to you how far you want to take this. Like some might like consider this done, right? Like in terms of the skin. But I like this figure and I feel like pushing it a little further. Okay, we can go a little further. And you know, render things a little more. A painting is never done. It is just abandoned. Something like, there's a quote like that. Uh, Do you have the color scheme all worked out for the rest of them? I have a general idea of what I want to do. I think I want to do this like kind of deep wine red sort of color for his cape because his eyes are going to be red. Probably some of the gemstones will be red also. Like here. And then just dark steel for a lot of the other parts because that's kind of their thing. Hello, can I ask what is the reference of this brush? This is a artist, right here, Artist Opus Series S, size 1. You can tell it's been used a lot because it's yellow, as opposed to this newer size 3. Sometimes I get one that I'm like, this one just wants to hold up forever and stay good. Sadly, the brushes are handmade and some of them are just going to be better than others. So don't feel weird if you're like, man, this brush doesn't feel as good, but it's the same brand. And it's like, this one went bad fast and this one's held on forever. It's like, it's just a thing. It just happens. I think I go through probably more paintbrushes than any of you. And yeah, I can tell you that they aren't all made equally. They can try their best, but just the nature of how it is. Why don't I give him like some subtle wrinkles in the corner of the eyes. Just a little bit, you know. Just a touch. Darken here just a little bit. Hello, Penguin Shark and Lord Briarwood. Thanks for following. Thank you, Flying Ukui. Tips for painting eyebrows. Use a really small brush. Use a really fine pointed brush. Do I go through 50 to 100 brushes a year? No, it's not that many. Probably 2 a month. From who is this bus? Black Crow Miniatures. Sure. Thanks, Sebastian. Nah, it's fine. You can link to them. Hey, Eric, do you have any videos on 2 light sources? One warm and one cold. Something dramatic. I can't think of any videos of that extreme. I don't know if you can still buy it, but I did a skeleton for Hera that had this like backdrop, which went really into like OSL and like this 2 light source kind of orange and blue, like super strong light source thing. Yeah, I guess the goblins like touch on the concept, but I never finished the goblins. That's probably why I didn't think of them. So yeah, there's probably quite a bit of information in there. Am I going to finish them? I don't know. They're on they're on pause until I get excited about them or something again. I don't know. Does the neck armor have a weird bubble-like texture on it? The neck armor has like it's not neck armor, it's like a collar, and it has like filigree. Unless you're talking about up here, there's like filigree on his armor. Good night. Yeah, by the way, I'm terrible at remembering the names of figures that I've painted, so basically never expect me to remember those. I painted that dwarf, I don't even remember his name, the dwarf with the forge. For Hera recently, the Trudvang one. And the Hera also academic bust of the orc that I painted at the same time had the same name, and I can't remember either of them. They released two figures with the same name, spelled slightly different, at the same time. I was like, what are you doing? Gilded Brush Studios, hello. Welcome. Thanks for it was Morka and Morka. They were both Morka. One had 2 Ks, one had 1. I was like, what is this? So I see here I'm doing these like, though the paint is really thin, I'm doing like these little lines towards the area I want to leave. And I'm lifting the brush in the area of where I want to leave the most paint. So it's like, you could think of it like somewhat like glazing, but it's not like glazing because glazing is like filtering more so. Hi, Jonas. Some you could call it like, some people have started throwing around stipple glazing, but it's not really that either because I'm doing little lines. Howdy. Found you on, I wanted to say Insta or Facebook, but great work. Glad to be able to see it in action. Thank you. We don't know. I don't know what I'm doing here. I just ramble and say nonsense. There's nothing educational about this stream at all. Anything intelligent is purely by happenstance. The Swinson swoop stipple. Yeah. It's just, I'll just come up with another name for layering. Yeah, let's not go too far there, Richard. All right, so I'm going to push these just a touch. Okay, I want to increase the scale, so I'm using really thin layer here just to help define some of these wrinkles just a little bit more. How are we feeling so far, huh? Sky coming along, looking all right, I guess. Push that highlight just a touch. That one may have been too much. Guys, I hear slap chop's real popular. Should I do a video on slap chop? I bet everyone would be really interested, right? Hi, can I ask what overhead camera you were using to capture the Mini? It is a Panasonic model number DCG95, and the lens is some Leica. I can't remember the number. The number is pretty important on the lens. It is a Leica. Hold on. Hey, it's a DG Vario 1.1 to 2.8 or a 2.8 to 4 1260, whatever that is. I don't think it's macro. It's a zoom lens. It just has a really short focal length, so I can do stuff like this. And it'd still be in focus. Thanks, Robocop. Yeah. Okay. Do we have anything? I'm looking at his face on camera just to get a general sense of how it's going. Again, seeing it from a different perspective, see how you guys see it. See if there's any adjustments I want to make. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to paint the eyes. We're going to use this kind of skin tone-y color to block in the eyes. You might be thinking, Eric, what the heck are you doing? Why would you use like a skin tone to paint the eyes? Well, his skin is very cool, so I don't want to use like a gray. And also, I'll make sure I'm on camera now, okay? All right, I painted over his eyelid a little bit. Whoops. It's very red-gray. Like, if I compare this to an actual skin tone color, like, hold on. Let me find, like, an actual skin tone, right? You can see the difference, okay? There's a big difference. It's a warm gray. It's like a reddish gray. Yep. Well, I can tell you that it's going to look a lot less red in a minute when I literally paint his irises red. When he has like glowing red eyes. They're not going to literally be glowing, but like sort of. Like they're going to be really intense. So you can see it doesn't look that red here on him. Okay. Now I need red, rojo. Why red, you say? Because all worshippers of Loth have red eyes. In Paris, I'm not sure, but I will be doing one in Switzerland the week before. Switzerland. Where's my short brush? There it is. I am. Quentin is organizing. All right, so normally I would have him looking slightly upwards, but because he's going to be looking literally down his nose at you, because because that's the character that I'm going for. I actually want to paint his eyes more like this. So normally I would do it the other way, but he's like, trash. You're filth. Oh, he's smug, dude. He's so smug. This is the most smug figure I've ever painted. Look at him. Just... All right, so normally I would do like the little U's and everything, but he is, they have like literally like almost glowing red eyes. They're not like literally glowing. Maybe while they're casting magic, I don't know. But I want to go pretty intense red. It is a very cool skull, Jonas. So now you can see that like warm gray we used for the like whites of the eyes is not so white anymore, right? Or not so reddish. All right, now I got to put the black. I don't think I actually want to use like pure black here. I think I'm going to do like a dark red for the iris. Again, make that like if you kind of overdoing it, which will give a subtle like effect that his eyes are like almost glowing. Right? I'm not trying to paint OSL or anything, but like a cat's eyes, you know? He's like Riddick. They can see in the dark. You guys seen Riddick? You seen Pitch Black? It's a pretty good movie, I'm just saying. Riddick starring Carl Urban, since we were talking about Carl Urban earlier. Pack of menthol cools. Go see a witch doctor and get a shine on your eyes for a pack of menthol cools. Ningalbolatosi. All right. Hi. Hello. I'm sure I butchered that, but welcome. Thanks for following. I love that movie. It's so terrible. It's really one of the not Pitch Black. Pitch Black's great. I'm talking about Chronicles of Riddick. It is one of the campiest good bad movies. Yeah, that didn't help. I'm sorry. Yeah, exactly. One of the movies of all time. It's like they were like, hey, let's make it like let's take a no, the Last Witch Hunter is actually legitimately just bad. They were like, let's take this kind of alien-esque horror movie, like science fiction horror, which is actually one of my favorite genres, and then let's turn it into like a weird, like high fantasy science fiction movie. It's very bizarre. That's okay. What did I just see the witch? Last Witch Hunter, I thought it said was fire. Last Witch Hunter was fine because it was just Vin Diesel fan serviced himself. I did not, but I played the video game Escape from Butcher Bay. That game was actually awesome. I thought you said the Last Witch Hunter was fire. I was like, what? Yeah, I don't think I ever watched the animated one, but yeah, I did play the video game. And Escape from Butcher Bay was actually a pretty cool video game. And it had Exhibit in it, so you know it was good. He was ready to pimp your ride, Doom. That's one I've never heard of. I didn't realize there was that the Scorpion King video game was actually pretty good. Because what was the other one I'm thinking of? X-Men Origins Wolverine, the video game, was like way better than the movie. That game was pretty sick. I think they were just making an X-Men, a Wolverine game, and like it happened to coincide with the movie, and they're like, tie them together. Because that game was way better. Exhibit has never made a bad movie. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, Wolverine Origins, the movie was bad. The video game was sweet, was sick. It was basically a God of War game. They're like, what if we just made God of War with Wolverine in it? You're like, yeah, okay, I'm in. Rich, are you trying to get banned? You trying to get timed out? All right. I thought you said intelligent things in the chat. And we can't have people going around claiming X-Men Origins Wolverine was good. Even the meme. Yeah. All right. So, in general, I like how his face is. There's maybe just needs a little bit more light on the jaw. Been kind of going back and forth on the chin, on like just how much to push the light on the chin. Because I really don't want to overdo it. And then I think this one volume on his face is still not quite perfect. Closer. Almost there. What character are you playing? Baldur's Gate? What character did I play? I played a half-orc fighter. Big strength boy smash. Roxanne, we've talked about this, okay? We've talked about this. No one is making you paint 32 millimeter models, all right? If you don't enjoy it, paint something else. Don't focus your effort on crap you don't care about. All right, does he look appropriately smug? No, well, you can't play a full orc you can't play a full orc in Baldur's Gate because full orcs are considered evil creatures. Not a playable race. Oh, he smells farther right. Somebody's getting a whipping for it. If you guys have never read the Dritz books, the origin ones, they're pretty good. Do I ever dream about the models I paint? No, I don't think so. I also don't tend to remember my dreams that much. So, there's that. So maybe I do and I just don't know it. Thanks, Orgo Classed. Appreciate it. Enjoy. Have a good rest. All right. Yeah. So there's kind of look of his face. All right. So eyebrows, huh? So he needs big old pointy eyebrows. So in general, I'd say just try and like get a clean line for like a darker base coat. So like here, right? Just kind of draw the eyebrow in. You guys probably can't see that at all. He's gonna have some wicked eyebrows. I'm gonna make him slightly pointy too. All right. Weird. You're thinking about painting a lot if you're dreaming about your figures being real. Or like they're actual people. Like are they toys? Toy Story come to life or actual people? All right, so the next thing I'm doing is I'm trying to paint like little lines. I don't think this is like so subtle and small that like this is really hard to show on camera. But yeah, I'm trying to just create some tiny little marks to give some volume to the eyebrows. You guys see that? Oh yeah, he's got some serious eyebrow action. All right, so one more thing I want to do on his face before I think we kind of call it. So I want to give some consideration to bounce light, especially if we're going to have him like, if the photo, at least the photograph on the stand, he'll be basically at this angle, right? He'll be something like this. But if we want to photograph him even lower, we could. We could really have him like the camera looking up at him. I want to give some consideration to some bounce light underneath. So using my shadow tone, I'm going to barely increase the light here. And under his jaw, and a bit on his neck. I'm going to push the light up a little bit, okay? Now that was just a touch, but you can see as I use more of this like ice blue, right? Push the light a little more. It's going to gray this out more, get this kind of purplish gray. Okay, so I want to think about like where would the light come up and hit on his lower jaw. So it's going to be like the bottom, right? This is why I say you have to round the chin over a little bit, because you can't really see this from here because it's underneath. Also, now that I'm thinking about it, if this cape is, well, his cape isn't very big, so probably not. But we could mix just a touch of red in there, just to shift it a little bit. Maybe we use a little bit of the warm one also. Right, something like this. So I don't want to go too high in value because it's still a shadow color, but it is, light is bouncing up off of his cloak and his armor and creating a bit of light to these areas. And I can use this to kind of define his jawline a little more. Define the neck. So I'm sort of overdoing it right now. This is, again, this is probably too much, but I can always bring it back down. And then you can see he has like this little bit of bounce light going on. Right, because if you look at my hand, right, you see this like my hand in this camera, okay? Nope, that's the wrong camera. This camera, right? You can see that there's like light bouncing off of, if I go like this, it's not so much. But if I come out here where it's bouncing off the white surface of the table, right? There's some little bit of light underneath, okay? That's what we're trying to achieve. Something like that, right? And then, you know, we could actually flip it over and think of it like this, right? And then we just have to blend these out into each other. I'm on camera now. I know it's hard to be on camera when I'm painting the model upside down. But we're almost done. God, streamer, so unprofessional. This guy licks his brushes. What a weirdo. Oh. All right, how's that look for the bounce light, right? So it kind of defines his jawline a little bit, gives him that shine underneath the jaw. Pure black right there. Pure black doesn't exist in the real world. It literally exists. It's on the palette. All right. Ooh. So I hope I hope that was kind of interesting, talking about Drow skin tones, you know, some kind of alternate skin tones. But principle is kind of the same, right? So yes, feedback. All right, I'm gonna stop recording on the YouTube.